The last time you joined me in Assetto Corsa Competizione on low fuel motorsport, you saw me scrape just enough safety rating together to escape the rookie series at my first attempt. Well, plot twist, I'm still a rookie in ACC. After my bruising encounters in the BTCC on rFactor 2 last week, my safety rating has taken another big hit. And because safety rating and LFM counts towards both sims, I'm relegated back to the beginners class once again. So can I escape it for a second time? I need to keep it clean in today's race at Spa, where I'll be starting from P16 on a grid of 25. My lap time of 2:21.3 isn't great, and it's half a second off the top 15. I need to avoid getting dragged into a fight behind me and up my game a bit to try and challenge for that top 15. Most importantly though, I need to stay out of trouble. I desperately need that safety rating boost.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Right, here we go then. The lights are green and 25 minutes of Spa is underway, and you're certainly not going to see any heroics from me coming through Eau Rouge and Radlon for the first time. I am going to take it as cautiously as possible and anticipate that there's going to be some trouble ahead. There is some trouble ahead. There was a car all out of shape to the right. We just lifted and moved over to the left of the track at the right time to get around it. Others weren't so lucky. It looked like there was carnage in the rearview mirror. So it's certainly paid to be aware through that section. We've got through it unscathed and we've tucked in behind the BMW of Ruben Dome. And we've moved up to 15th, so we've picked up one position from where we started. That, of course, was due to getting past the Porsche that spun out at Radlon. It was Martin Weiss who crashed out there. He qualified 11th on the grid. Now we'll go back and check out a replay of that in a minute because I got really lucky there. It felt like I was incredibly close to being collected. But we'll stick with the live action out on track for now because it's still so tight out there on this opening lap. We've got Dan Puny in 12th, Javier Banyaras in 13th, Ruben Dome in 14th, I'm right behind in 15th, and then we've got Mark Kirstein in 16th. Oh, the BMW of Dome was hot into Poo on there. He ran out a little bit wide. We're not going to be able to capitalise though because we're under pressure from the Lamborghini behind. So I'm going to close off this inside line into the right-hander. Make sure there's no way through for Kirstein. Well, I said after qualifying that my lap times were about half a second adrift of anyone else in the top 15. We do find ourselves in the top 15 now, but it looks like we're going to have a job on our hands to hold on to it. Kirstein is loitering with intent behind. Okay, let's go back and check out the replay of the start to see if we can get to the bottom of what happened to Martin Weiss. Keep your eye on that black Porsche, the number 22. That's Weiss. Now he's going to go into Eau Rouge too wide alongside that yellow McLaren of Benoit Martin, and he's just going to clip that curb on the inside. That pushes him out wide. It pushes Martin out even wider, and from then on he just can't control that Porsche. Yeah, he slides back on track. We were able to anticipate it and avoid it. One other driver wasn't so lucky. Well, we're on board with that driver now. It's Ephraim Safir in the white Porsche who ran out of room. There's Weiss sliding back onto the track, and yeah, Safir had nowhere to go but the barrier. And I'm quite surprised and relieved that only one other car got tangled up in this incident. Often when a driver loses it in Eau Rouge or Radlon on the opening lap, they'll take about half the grid with them. Thankfully, most people survived this one, including me. Right, let's get back to the live action. Towards the end of lap 2, I'm just about hanging on to the pack of cars in front. Banyaras is half a second ahead. However, crucially, I have managed to gap Mark Kirstein behind. He's nearly 2 seconds back now. When the yellow flags are out, there's been an incident in the final chicane. Have we lost someone? Yes, we have, but they've rejoined right in front of this pack of 3 fighting in front of me, so no positions gained. However, it has bunched the pack back together, and Ruben Dome was particularly wide out of the chicane there. We were able to challenge briefly, but we just haven't got the grunt to pull alongside the BMW. Now, I've started this race with a higher TC just while the tyres are getting up to temperature. However, that will cost me exit speed, so I'm going to dial it down a couple of notches. Now I'm beginning to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in this Ferrari. Oh, we just grazed the wall there. That's not what we want at this early stage of the race. Through Eau Rouge then, out through Radlon. We've lost someone ahead. That was Banyaras. I just saw a red Ferrari torpedoing into the barrier there as I went past. Let's have a look at the replay to see what happened. And Banyaras, is he going to clip the curb on the inside? No, he's going to clip the curb on the outside, and boy, did that send him off. He hit that wall hard. Oh no, hold on to your brakes, don't come back on track. He just keeps off. further along on lap 3 then. I'm up to 14th now, but I'm beginning to think I might not have the pace to keep up with these cars in front. Benoit Martin in 12th, Ruben Dohn in 13th. They're both more than a second clear now. However, if they start fighting with one another, that will give me a chance to close in. It certainly looks like Dohn is all over the rear of that McLaren. We've lost someone else in the meantime. There was a BMW on the grass, so that promotes us up into 13th. And yeah, it was Benjamin Horn who we passed there. Horn had qualified in 8th position and was one of the front runners, but he just gets his line all wrong, and that just shows how easy it is to spin on this circuit. End of lap 3 then, and we're once again starting to lose touch with Dohn and Martin ahead, but they're still fighting, so that gives me hope that I may yet be able to close this gap, and we're really good on the brakes into this final chicane. Look how much we close in. We're now right on the tail of the BMW again. We're still a little bit sluggish out of the corners. Even with that lower TC, I'm losing a bit of ground there. However, keep your eye on these two in front. Is Dohn going to make a move up the inside? If he does, that might leave us a gap to jump through as well. We're going to tuck it in really tight through the source. We're now alongside Martin. Oh, but once again, we just haven't got the power. In fact, we almost come to grief there as we get squeezed. Well, I spotted the opportunity, but I just didn't have the power to see it through. So as we come through Eau Rouge, out over Radlon onto the Keppel Straight, we're still in 13th, but we are all over Benoit Martin now. Fast forward to the end of the lap, and we are going to pick up another position. However, it's not going to be getting past Benoit Martin. Further ahead, there has been an incident. So as we come through Blanchemont, we're going to get a white flag to notify us that there's a slower driver ahead. He's out on the grass to the right. And it was Dan Pooney in that black McLaren. Now, Pooney started right in front of me on the grid. He qualified P14, but he'd made a really good start and had broken away. However, he is locked in a battle through Blanchemont. Oh, he loses it right in front of the car behind. Well, fair play to Matthew Feltham-Eckersall in that red and white Ferrari. How he missed that, I do not know. Let's ride on board with him now. He anticipated it perfectly. He knows that the McLaren is on the inside. He just lifts at the right time, and that saves him from ploughing into the McLaren. So as we approach the end of lap 5, never mind struggling to get into the top 15, we find ourselves on the fringes of the top 10, P12 at the moment, and we are beginning to close in on Benoit Martin again. He wasn't too convincing through that chicane, and as a result we've gained about 0.3, 0.4 of a second through that section. Start at lap 6 then, and can we take out these final few tenths to close in on the McLaren ahead? We're not going to need to, because Benoit Martin has run really deep into the source. He's out onto the runoff area. That gives us all the space we need to make the pass. We're up into 11th. Yeah, Martin got his line all wrong through the final chicane before this straight, and I think it just disrupted his rhythm because he completely missed his marker going into turn 1 there, so that promotes us up another place. So we're progressing really well here. However, I am fully aware that that's not due to my skill or speed. It is down to other drivers making mistakes, and we're going to get another one here. The yellow flags are out. Have we lost someone ahead? Yes, we have. There's a car in the gravel, and that is Luis Crivero. Now, Crivero qualified P4 in that McLaren, and he has just retired. And as the race wore on, the big hitters kept falling. This is Tyrone Linden, who'd qualified P5 and was running in 4th position when he made this mistake, sliding into the barrier not once but twice. Now, it didn't look like a particularly big hit, either of them, but it was enough to give him damage and send him to the pit, so that has promoted us up another position with 1 lap to go. And yeah, as Linden makes his way down pit lane, I'm just approaching the final chicane. I'm going to get the white flag to indicate that I'm starting my last lap, and as I cross the line, I'm going to see me promoted from 10th up into 9th. Really bad luck for Linden to crash out with just 1 lap of this race to go. He was nailed on for 4th position, but instead he is going to finish well down the order. As for me though, I've never been feeling more comfortable. Look at the gap back to Benoit Martin behind. He's more than 3 seconds back now. I've been lapping really consistently over the second half of this race. My fastest lap is a 2:20.4, so that's a whole second quicker than I managed in qualifying. So yeah, I've really improved as this race has gone on. And with just 3/4 of a lap remaining, you'd be forgiven for thinking that I have wrapped up this 9th position. However, you would be wrong. In true CR Sim Racing fashion, I managed to pluck a disaster out of thin air. Into Les Combes for the final time, and I'm just going to feel the rear start to step out. There's nothing I can do. I'm out onto the grass under no pressure at all. I managed to keep it facing in the right direction, but I have lost the position to Benoit Martin. Well, what was I thinking there? Absolutely no pressure at all. I had a near 4-second advantage over that yellow McLaren, and I've thrown it all away with the most unnecessary and ridiculous mistake. And look now, I have lost the plot. I am sliding all over the place. At this rate, we're not going to even stick with Martin. I desperately need to find some composure and fast because we've only got half a lap left. I am still in the top 10 at least, but that could change very easily if I don't sort myself out because Michael de Jong is just 1.5 seconds back in that BMW now. Right, I do seem to have regained some composure finally, and we're back on the tail of that yellow McLaren, so I don't think there's going to be many passing opportunities apart from the very final chicane. So the only thing I can do now is get myself as close as I possibly can to the rear spoiler of Benoit Martin. A fast and clean exit out of this corner is absolutely crucial to close that gap, and we've got it. We've got a better run than Martin, and we're going to use a bit of toe here to get right onto the rear of the McLaren as we approach Blanchemont. So we're going to get one opportunity to try and snatch this 9th position back. Now the big question is, which way is Martin going to go? Is he going to defend and send me out wide, or is he going to hold the racing line and force me to lunge up the inside? He's going to do neither. Oh, we were so out of control there. Martin got on the brakes so early. I had little time to react. I thought I was going to plough into the back of him. Somehow I managed to slide right across track without taking anybody else out. And of course, there was no way I could carry on to the finish line and take that position in good conscience. I had to park up and wait for all those guys to go back past me. But yeah, I completely lost my head on this final lap. What was I thinking going through Les Combes? I was under no pressure at all. This has to go down as one of my most stupid mistakes yet in sim racing. So I lost the position to Benoit Martin, but the real talking point was that instant on the run to the final chicane. Now at the time, I thought I'd been brake checked. Look how early the McLaren gets on the brakes. It's a good 50 yards earlier than the usual braking point, and that's what caught me out so much. However, I always say that you must check the replay before jumping to any conclusions about an incident, because the TV cam tells a different story. You'll have just caught a glimpse of a car in front of Benoit Martin there, and it was the behaviour of that car which forced Martin to brake early. He had no choice, so it certainly wasn't the McLaren driver's fault. That car in front was actually the blue Lamborghini of Maximilian Neerdl. Now, Neerdl had run out of fuel on the last lap, but he stayed on the racing line. We're riding on board with Benoit Martin now, and you can see in front that car suddenly getting bigger and bigger. Now Martin knows he's got to get on the brakes now, or he is going to smash into that slow-moving car. And of course for me, tucked in right behind the McLaren with one sole focus of trying to engineer a pass, I had no idea at all about that slower car in front. All I could do was try my very best not to take anyone else with me, and with a fair bit of luck, I managed it. Now, of course, I didn't want to make the overtake in that fashion. If I wasn't going to overtake him fairly, then I didn't want the position. That's why I parked up and let Benoit Martin cross the finish line before me. Unfortunately, of course, that also cost me another position because Michael de Jong took full opportunity and went past as well. But we did, however, still manage to finish in the top 10. That's because Neerdl ran out of fuel completely just yards before the finish line. So we did, in fact, get back past him to claim our place in the top 10. And yeah, my pace definitely improved considerably during the course of that race. I was a full second quicker than my qualifying times by the end of this one, and as a result, that promoted me from being a top 15 contender to being a top 10 contender. Really, I should have had 8th position sewn up had it not been for that stupid mistake at Les Combes. But before I get too disappointed, let's remember the main goal that I highlighted at the very start of this video. It was safety rating, and the good news is I've got it. I'm no longer a rookie. But I said that before, didn't I?